My YouTube people, what in the hell is going on in 2021? What a wild freaking roller coaster the collecting universe is on right now. Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here. Not talking about sports cards today. Basically talking about everything else because trading card markets are going absolutely freaking ballistic across the board. We've been talking about Marvel a lot, but we're going to do a little bit of a talk kind of across the board, hitting a bunch of different ones. And it is wild times. Don't believe me. Let me zoom in here for you guys. People are flipping Happy Meals for Pokemon cards. And if that doesn't get you crazy, they're also flipping boxes of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. What in the hell is 2021? My Lord, what a wild freaking time. Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Happy Meal shortages. If I can't get a Happy Meal, we're going to have some serious problems. Number one story when you Google McDonald's, online resellers making bank from Pokemon Happy Meals. Just what a freaking time. Let's get into it. We got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about today on this one. Like, comment, sub down below. I want you guys to do me an extra favor on this one. Really smash the like button. I want to see how many we can get. I want to see if we can set the new record for likes on one of my videos. As crazy as it sounds, it does actually help the channel. So run them up. Run up the scoreboard like you're running down Happy Meals. Amazon affiliate link down there. And also a link to Market Movers, which I don't normally talk about much on the non-sports card stuff, but we're going to use it today. For anyone not familiar, Market Movers is a tool for sports card sales data analysis, essentially. But there's some sneaky little tools in there that you could use to track non-sports card stuff that I dug into for some of the Marvel stuff. So let's have a little chat. What in the goddamn hell is going on? So the Marvel stuff's going crazy. Prior to that, it was Pikachu's. Magic the Gathering stuff's going crazy. Garbage Pail Kids are going crazy. WWF stuff's going crazy. G.I. Joe boxes are going crazy. If it's a sealed box and it's from 1980 something to 1990 something, and it makes you feel special in your special spots, when you think back to your childhood, then odds are the prices are probably going nuts. So let's talk about this for a second. This essentially, in my opinion, is a massive carryover from the sports card market and / the pandemic. Essentially, there's a large portion of people that have way too much goddamn time on their hands and money. As bad as the pandemic has been for some people have the ability to work from home and are actually saving a ton of money. Stimulus checks, no gas in cars, not going out to eat, etc., etc. This started last year, and it caused sports cards to go absolutely crazy. In addition to that, comic book market also went nuts this past year. Now, I don't follow that as closely, but I follow it loosely enough to know that they've been setting all-time sales prices on a lot of key issues all the way through, and the same thing happened in sports cards. Now, in most cases, talking from the sports card perspective, the demand was around modern day stuff. So current day players. I'm not going to get into crazy specifics here. I'm going to keep this as broad based as possible. A few months ago, a shift happened. And this, I can't speak to the comic book side of this, so I'm going to stick to the sports card side of this. But a shift happened about 3 months ago, where, not even 3 months ago, about 2 months ago, money started to shift from modern day stuff to older stuff. So 80s, 90s, legends, all-time players, Hall of Famers, etc. It was spurred by specifically Michael Jordan 86 Fleer. It was followed by LeBron Topps Chrome. 86 Fleer Jordan is the most iconic sports card, other than probably a Mantle, which also set a new record. 52 Mantle. But anyways, all these super high-end sports cards are essentially setting new records every time one sells. So that caused a trickle down into other 90s players. So it went from Jordan, then it went to LeBron, then Kobe, Then it kind of, it's been bouncing around. Bird prices went nuts, Magic Johnson, then it went over to baseball. Those guys started going crazy. Then football, those guys started going crazy. All the people that we grew up with, us 35 to 45-year-olds that we watched as kids, their prices are going crazy. A big reason behind this is demand for, specifically, PSA 10 graded cards. That's what's setting all the records. PSA 10 graded cards. And this older stuff, even though, yes, it comes from a junk wax era where things were printed into the ground, as every Facebook group likes to remind me, but there's not a lot of PSA 10s of this stuff. Quality control was bad, and a lot of this stuff was not well taken care of. Now, on the sports card side of things, they were a little bit better taken care of, but there's still lots of quality control issues with centering, general condition, corners, print lines, etc., etc. So the PSA 10s of this stuff are lower population counts. Population counts means there's not a lot of them out there. It's essentially PSA 10 has a list for the non-sports cards people that tells you exactly how many of a particular graded card exists. So, for example, Jordan 86 Fleer, there's like 300 and some, I think, maybe 400 and some. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I'm sure someone is correcting me in the comments below. But regardless, pop count tells you how many exist. So that is a 1 of 350 or whatever it is. Comic books have the same thing with the CGC census. You'll hear a lot of people quote that. So anyways, limited demand PSA 10 cards, and you could apply the same to comics, have driven the market into a frenzy because of the limited number of these things that exist and people's desire to have to catch them all. So also what happened is over the summer, late summer, early fall, old school Pokemon cards caught fire. Once again, PSA 10, first series, original Pokemon cards started going ballistic. At the same time, other markets began to lift up. Now, the one that I paid attention to the most was Marvel stuff, because I liked collecting Marvel trading cards as a kid. So I'm going to switch over to market movers here. And this is a nice little, and this does not go, so I'm using, for those sports card people, I'm using the chart wax feature, and you could chart any sealed wax. It doesn't have to be sports card wax. You could look at anything. So I put in 1990 Marvel Universe, and other terms to include, I put sealed box. Now I had to go in and kind of clean up a few things because some sealed packs, individual packs snuck in, but whatever. You could do that by hitting the trash can and removing a listing to clean things up, but it's not that hard to do. It took me 5 minutes. So this goes back X number of sales. I forget how many, 187. So this goes all the way back to November 30th. And I can tell you from personal experience, I bought a box of this back in the spring, famously for $200 or $110. They were going for like $150-ish on eBay. I found one local for $110. I got it. Immediately after, they shot up to $200, and then they slowly creeped up all summer to the point that we see here, where in late November, they were going for $350. They slowly, very slowly, gained steam throughout the month of December and into January, where at the end of December, they're now $400. By January 10th, they're $650. So what happened here? People started speculating about what's next. Sports cards have gone crazy. Comic books were already kind of going crazy, but we're going to circle back around and talk comic books again in a minute. And Pokemon was going crazy. So people in that realm, specifically the sports card world, because it's big and there's a lot of money floating around in it, and people are always looking to flip the next thing, aka Happy Meals, and speculation begun. And it began on, at least where I first heard about it, and once again, I was kind of already following this, is the Card Talk Pod. Now, the Card Talk Pod is a very well-regarded sports card podcast. Ryan, the primary host, owns a card shop in Columbus, Ohio. Seems like a great guy. I've never met him, but I do PSA submissions through them. I've been in the shop once. And then he has two associates, Lou and Tyler. They had a guest that I could not remember the guest's name off the top of my head. that mentioned that they were getting, actually, they had a couple guests that mentioned that they were keeping an eye on the Marvel trading card market. And that was around this point. I don't remember the exact day, and I'm not exactly attributing them specifically for this, but in the sports card world, this is all this takes. Someone mentions something that has a decent amount of audience. A few people go, you know what? That makes sense. And they had valid points why. It's an extremely large IP. It is ridiculously popular amongst everybody, current kids today, all the way back to adults, people my age and even older. Absolutely adore Marvel. And there's a lot of nostalgia for this stuff, specifically the 90 Marvel Universe set. So prices start to climb. They dip back down again, climb back up. Okay, now we're into mid to late January and we're up to $7.99 a box. And then we keep going and then we get to around $1,000 a box. Now people are going, what in the hell is going on here? Well, what happens is, and what takes this to the next level, are a couple, and the population counts on these are extremely low, a couple PSA 10 Stan Lee cards sell for multiple thousands of dollars. I believe it was $2,000 or $3,000 for a PSA 10 Stan Lee. Around the same time, a Spider-Man black suit sells for around, I think it was $1,500 to $2,000, and like a Wolverine sold for like $1,000. Now people took notice because people were speculating on the boxes, and now you have graded card sales to kind of back up the box price. Well, you start running the math on one of these things, and you very quickly figure out how these prices went from right here at around $1,000 a box to right here up to $3,000 in the box in the matter of 8 days. So some more PSA sales come in, and that starts the frenzy. Because once again, I mentioned this on the live stream on Saturday, I believe that it was that I did. Last week, live stream last week. It's a simple math equation. You know, there's 36 packs in the box. You get however many cards in a pack. Say I get 15 cards that I think have a pretty good shot at PSA 10ing out of the entire box. As long as one of them is a remotely key character, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Stan Lee, whatever, and I send it in and I get a PSA 10 on it, I've already paid for the box plus the grading fees on all the other cards. So the rest of the cards are all profit. And the sports card people pick that up real fast because we grade all the time. It is what we do. We rip packs, grade cards, and we do it pretty damn good. And most of the people embedded in the sports card world have a good feel for it. They could do it quickly, efficiently, or they hand it off to someone else and pay them to do it for them quickly and efficiently. So it's essentially fronting the capital to buy the sealed product, rip it, and get the cards graded. And there's also the market of people that just buy the sealed wax to hold it because they see what's coming and know that they can flip the sealed wax for a quick buck. So you have two things going on. There's going to be a segment of people wanting to buy this stuff to rip it, and there's going to be a segment of people that want to just flip the sealed wax. So long story short, box prices go bananas. What happens next? Okay. 90 Marvel Series 1 prices get out of control. Now it bleeds on to the next thing, which is Marvel 1991 Series 2. How similar do these graphs look to each other? Oh, by the way, fun stat, Marvel 90 Series 1. So dating back to November 30th, 187 boxes have sold, sealed boxes, rough count. This is just eBay. 80 of those have been in the last 14 days. So the prior 60 days had 100 of them sell. Had 100 of them sell. And 80 sold in the last 14 days. So almost half the inventory that has sold in the last 3 months has moved in the last 2 weeks. That is also why you were starting to see the price come down. It spiked up to 3,000, has pulled back, and seems to be settling in between $2,000 and $2,500. What happened? The market got flooded with inventory. People saw the prices going crazy, and then they went and started digging through every bin, attic, basement, closet, mom's house, whatever secret stash they had, trying to find these things, and then listed them on eBay as fast as humanly possible to cash in. So people price themselves out of 90 Series 1 and then move on to 1991 Series 2. And we basically see the exact same graph over the exact same time period. It just scoots along, then starts shooting up. Series 1 takes off, then Series 2 takes off. Series 1 dips, Series 2 dips, comes back up a little bit. Like literally almost the identical graph. It's eerie. Now, coming from the sports card world, we see this all the time. The primary market leader of whatever it is that you're talking about, in this case, a player, or let's use the example of a player, say Zion Williamson, his primary card, Prism, goes up. His secondary cards follow. Optic select the lesser brands, if you will. In this case, it's the same thing. It's just 90 Series 1 is viewed as the flagship product. Whether it is or not, I know Marvel trading card people are like, these aren't even real rookie cards. I don't understand why this is the main set everyone's chasing. None of that matters. This is the one that people are chasing. So it's over. The market has decided this is it. There's nothing you could do to stop it. You can't explain it. This is just what it is. My theory behind that is that's because this is the set that most people collected as kids. You know, people didn't collect 1967 Donruss Marvel stickers that are spending money on this stuff right now. They collected this. Most kids didn't chase Marvel Masterpieces. Some did. Most kids chased Marvel Universe packs at the local gas station. Marvel Masterpiece packs you were usually going to the comic book store for. That's why this set's getting all the love. Now, the other sets are getting love too, because as I talked about, you know, one goes up, they all kind of go up, because Marvel Universe 90 is shooting through the roof. 91's following suit. And then it trickles down even further. Here's the X-Men Jim Lee boxes. These were just trudging along. You notice the dates were a little bit later on this. So 90 series started taking off on about on January 1st. This was the first one to shoot up. It went from $1,000 to $2,000 basically overnight. 91, it took an extra couple days. It shot up a little bit, but on the 4th of the 5th, it went from 370 to 450 to 600 to six, almost 700 in the matter of 2 or 3 days right after this. Now, the X-Men 91 Jim Lee boxes did the same thing. They were under, $90 to $100. They were slowly creeping up as the rest of the stuff was. And then on February 3rd, people realized, well, wait a second. If Marvel 90 MU is going for $2,000 a box, why are these so cheap? And they literally jumped from $200 to $500, essentially over the course of a day and a half. What happened was someone literally went on and bought out every single listing for X-Men Jim Lee boxes that were listed. I was watching it when it was happening because I was following all the current buy it nows, and within the matter of about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they all got eaten up. And basically the market reset itself. It spiked way up, and now it is doing the same thing. It is pulling back, and this one's lagging a few days behind. It dropped down to 425. I expect this to probably spike back up slightly and probably settle in between 400 and 450 would be my best guess. Now, the reason this all happened is because of the price of graded cards. So we talked about this before. PSA 10 sales of Marvel 90 Universe continues to drive the sealed product market because it's the easiest way to chase these. Listen, I know everyone says that they have minty fresh versions of these sitting in their long boxes and binders, and in their shoe boxes and their closets. You probably don't. If you missed it, I ripped a box of this on Saturday. I'm going to do a recap video of it. I could tell you right now, I probably have Best guess, about 24 cards out of an entire box that I feel confident in getting a 10, and probably some of them are definitely get a 9. They're not all going to 10. That's 24 cards out of an entire box, and that's not all key characters. Spoilers, I got 0 Iron Man, 0 Captain Americas, 0 Cosmic Spider-Mans, 0 Thors, and 0 Hulks that have a shot at a 10. So those are pack fresh from a brand new box. I mean, not a brand new box, but you get my point. Not ones that were opened up and been sitting in binders or stuck together or whatever. The biggest problem isn't so much how well you took care of them, it's centering. Centering on a lot of these cards is really, really bad. And you could be as careful as we could white glove a card out of a pack to a penny sleeve, to a top loader, or to a mag, to whatever. If it's off-centered, it's off-centered. You can have, the best care for a card in the world, but if it comes off the printer in bad shape, then you're done. So that's what a big part of the problem is centering on these. I think what's going to end up happening, there's going to be a lot of PSA 9s out there and not a lot of PSA 10s. I think is what's going to happen once the census starts filling up with these, or the pop counts, to use a card term, census reports, comic book term. So, but you see, like, even these, like, this 1990 Wolverine versus Sabretooth, famous battles card, $850 and a PSA 10. Here's a Spider-Man Presents Spider-Man, and this is in an SGC 10, which is a much lesser known brand when it comes to grading. I did not mean to click on that. Sold for $400. In a PSA 10, this would probably be close to $1,000. Here's a SGC 9.5 for $273. PSA 10 Hulk, $1,250. A couple more just random. This is just X-Men in the Savage Land, $400. Scroll through here. See if we can find anything else big. Green Goblin, $400. Black Suit Spider-Man, $2,250. Black Suit Spider-Man is one of the more popular ones. The ones that are surprising are the most valuable comic cover cards. This one I do not buy. This looked shill-bitted to all hell. This 90s Hulk one for $3,200. But this Marvel Universe, this first Avengers, $1,600 in a PSA 10. Wolverine, $750. Here's Wolverine Brown Suit, $1,750 in a PSA 10. This is the reason box prices are going crazy. You start doing the math, and if you could pull just a handful of PSA 10s out of a box, $2,000 for a box looks like a fairly reasonable deal if you're willing to front the money and take the risk. Now, who knows what happens by the time you get them back from PSA? That's the risky part, but that's why most people that are submitting these are sending them at high dollar service levels, which get them back to you faster. Think of it like Disney. You essentially pay to cut the line, like a fast pass. The more money you're willing to pay, the faster they'll get their cards back to you. So those people that are ponying up for the express level services at anywhere from $75 to $200 a card to grade it are taking a risk, but they'll get their cards back sooner than the vast majority of people sending them the PSA. So their cards will be hitting the market while inventory is still restricted. Because here's the thing, PSA is super backed up right now. It takes, if you submit at regular service at $50 a card, you're probably looking at about 2 months to get your stuff back. If you go through a group submitter, you're probably looking at 4 months. If you submit bulk, which is the cheapest for non-sports cards at about 10 or $12 a card, I think it is, it requires a $50 silver membership, or you can go through a group submitter, but you're looking at probably 10 to 14 months before you get your cards back. Who knows what the world looks like in a year from now. Now, you're putting very little money out because you're only spending $10 a card to grade, so your risk is a lot lower, but your potential high-end outcome is a lot lower as well because there are going to be more of these out there by then. I don't think population counts are going to go crazy because I don't think there's a lot of PSA 10s sitting out there. I could be wrong. So the demand is going to continue to build for these as more and more PSA 10s sell, and there's just not a lot of them out there. Most of these right now are sub 20 on the population count. And there's probably a handful of them that are just never getting sold because they're in private collectors. It's not people looking to flip, etc. So those are never going to see the light of day. So the inventory that you're talking about that can actually change hands is quite small right now. Now, more is going to come to the table. However, to this point, it has not happened yet. I've been tracking the PSA population report for 90 Marvel Series 1 since February 2nd up until today, Valentine's Day. Only 3 cards have been added to the pop report, 2 PSA 9s and a PSA 7 or 6 or 7. I don't remember which cards they were, but it was 2 9s and a 7. So no PSA 10s have been added to the population report in 2 weeks. Now, I predict 2 weeks from now, that's going to look like a different story. And I'll be curious to see what happens. Because people are going to be submitting these things super express, and they'll get them back in, 10 business days to a month and a half. So come early March, we're going to have a better idea. And we'll have a better idea of how many 10s are getting added to the list. If that number is low, demand is going to continue to increase. And in my opinion, it could make the box prices at $200 to $2,500 look like a steal, because 2 things are going to happen. People are going to keep chasing the PSA 10s, and they're chasing the PSA 10s by ripping boxes. That means the inventory of sealed boxes out there is going to continue to get smaller. Because before, you had an inventory level out there and they would occasionally sell. Not many would move at any given point in time. Now, all of a sudden, the demand is insane for these things. And a decent percentage of those are getting opened up. Every time a box opened, it's gone. That's one less sealed box on the market. So then those prices continue to rise. And you can see the thing that's scary, not scary in a good way, is the PSA 9s are getting respect. This Cosmic Spider-Man PSA 9 sold today for $1,100. Holograms are also selling really well. By the way, here's why you don't want to submit your cards to SGC, kids. This Cosmic Spider-Man and an SGC 9 sold for $125. This one and a PSA 9 sold for $1,100. I understand it doesn't make any sense. It's just a plastic holder on the card. It doesn't have to make sense. It is what it is. The market respects the PSA slab over everything else. If you're coming about this from the comic book world, think of it like CGC, basically compared to everybody else. So, but once again, PSA 9 is doing quite well. PSA 9 Stan the Man, $680. PSA 9 Hulk 181, 600. That's Canadian, so that's still a good, whatever the conversion rate is, $400 probably. Thanos for $270 for a PSA 9 Thanos. Someone got a steal on these 2 Spider-Man for $250, by the way. This person could have got a lot more for those. That's a really good deal. Stan Lee for $650, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. So when PSA 9 sales are going for a couple $100, that lessens your risk. You could submit things that you think have a good shot at a 10 at the $200 level if you wanted to. As long as you hit a couple key cards in 10 and everything else gets a 9, you break even on the 9 stuff, and then you make all your money on the stuff that hits PSA 10s. Once again, it's risky because you don't know what the market's going to do, and you are never guaranteed a grade no matter how closely you look over a card. So that has now bled into, and this was already happening at the same time Marvel was going up, all of these niche markets were exploding. I shouldn't say niche, more mainstream non-sports card markets were exploding. Garbage Pail Kids, WWF, Pokemon had already gone nuts. Magic the Gathering stuff is now at all-time high prices in a lot of cases. And once again, a lot of it is graded cards and sealed wax. Those are the 2 most in-demand products in the collectible world. Sealed boxes, not packs, not loose packs, though those will go for a good penny too right now, but stay away from those. Sealed boxes, PSA 10s. Best way to get PSA 10s? From sealed boxes. So it's kind of like a snake eating its own tail. The safe play is you buy the wax, you sit on it, and you just sell the wax for a profit and don't mess around with any of this grading stuff. If you want to risk it for the biscuit, to quote Pac-Man Cards, and rip the wax and try to chase the big numbers, that's how that happens. Plus, some people just enjoy doing that. That's their hobby almost. Let's look at Garbage Pail Kids. I searched for 1985 Series 1, Series 2 PSA 10s. Remember these things from our childhood? $475, $250, $265, $240, $300. and up they go. Here's some series 1, 6,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,650. Sit down, wait for this one. Atom Bomb, probably one of the most famous of the Garbage Pail Kids, in a PSA 10. This guy right here. The sticker. This hasn't sold yet. This is up at Probstein. Say what you will about Probstein, but all the high dollar items go to him. $30,000 with 72 bids, 1 day, 6 hours to go. Yeah. A Honda Accord or an Atom Bomb. Now, people say, why the hell is this happening? Who the hell is paying $30,000 for an Atom Bomb PSA 10? Obviously, someone rich that has more money than God that doesn't know what to do with it. Essentially, this is getting treated like modern day art. This is modern day artwork. This is artwork for the 45-year-olds that have more money than they know what to do with. The other thing that's happening is micro-share companies. So companies are coming in, buying up super limited high dollar collectibles and then selling pieces of them. So you could buy a 1/100th share of an 86 Jordan or an Atom Bomb PSA 10. Let's go on down the line here. How about WWF PSA 10s? Bret the Hitman Hart, $1,100 from 87. A lot of these are stickers. How about this is Raw? Hulk Hogan, 85. Classic Hulk Hogan. I believe this is basically treated as his rookie card or one of his main popular cards. $235 ungraded. Macho Man, $250. Just continuing to scroll down this list here. You know, here's a 1990 Hogan, $450. This is the big one. Hulk Hogan sticker, 85 tops, $18,500. PSA 10. I forget the population count on that. It might be a pop 1, but it's extremely low, whatever it is. But yeah, this stuff's going crazy. Let's keep going down the list. 1977 Star Wars, also PSA 10s. This stuff's starting to go nuts. It actually already has, but it's even increasing even more. Here's, you know, Darth Vader, Princess Leia captured from the beginning of the movie, $800. Luke Skywalker from Wonder Bread, $27.50 in a PSA 10. Obi-Wan sticker, $257 in a PSA 10. Once again, some of these numbers aren't as crazy, but some of them are nuts. Young Star Warrior, basically Luke Skywalker card, $1,500. Chewbacca stickers, $410. These things are just going crazier by the day. Modern Star Wars, Baby Yoda, my boy. Where he goes, I go. The Child, Topps Living set, PSA 10s, $500 all day long. And these have shot up the last couple weeks as well. These were going for about $100 to $150 around Christmas, $500 now. A raw card of this is about $80. And this is kind of like Topps Project 2020. Only so many of them were printed, and then only, you know, however many of them make the cut for PSA 10. So this is an extremely limited card. And the prices on this keep going crazy. This is just a funny one. So let's transition to where this is going. And this is going to lead into the next thing I'm going to talk about. So the major IPs, this stuff spread through like wildfire, just burning through everything, just gobbling it up. And now it's starting to trickle down to the next level of stuff. You're seeing Disney cards from the 90s, sealed boxes, go crazy. I mentioned it jokingly yesterday that G.I. Joe cards have started going crazy. The Impel boxes from 1991. I showed one on camera on Saturday. I bought one just a week ago. I just got it early last week. I bought it for $30, kind of on a whim. I've been eyeing one for a while just to kind of rip for something fun because I collected those as a kid. And I said, yeah, let me grab one of these. What the hell? It was like $35, maybe $40 shipped. And then I kind of forgot about it. It came, I set it to the side, and then someone mentioned something about it, and I went and looked, and they're like $120, and now they're up to $150. And now looks like they're going to go even higher than that. This is the G.I. Joe in Pail. And for what I'm talking about is this right here. This guy. Remember this? Remember these guys? So someone went out and bought every single one on eBay and reset the market. And now here we are. This one ends in 5 hours. I'm recording this on Sunday evening. It's at $168 with 7 bids going strong. And there's 2 others at auction at around the same price as this. And there are no buy it nows listed under $1,000. I don't know where this ends up at, but I'm intrigued. Depending on what this ends up at will depend what I do with mine. There's a good chance I may just end up selling mine sealed. I'll see what happens. But here's the chart for G.I. Joe. I bought mine back right here. 2-1. I guess it was a little longer than a week ago. It was right in here. I paid $29 for it. I think this is me right here. They shot up to 50, dipped back down a little bit, kind of hung in this 40 to 45 range. Then they hopped to 60, and then boom, they shot up. And now when you see data points here, that is not individual sales per se. Market Movers takes the average for the day and then lists it for that day. So you're seeing this could be multiple sales in a single day. Like if I scroll down here and look at the individuals, you could see where things took off were right about 2.6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 boxes sold on 2.6. And in fact, these 2, I should remove this. This is $80. These 2 sold. That was 2 that sold together. So 2.6 is when everyone bought up all the inventory, and then it reset the market and the price shot up from there. And now we're off to the races. And this is just a microcosm example of what is happening in all these different trading card markets. So started with sports, went to Pokemon, then kind of spread its wings to all the major IP from when we were kids, Garbage Pail, WWF, Magic the Gathering. Then it's went into Marvel. And then from Marvel, now people have seen the Marvel thing go nuts, and now they're speculating on everything else. G.I. Joe's going crazy, like I mentioned. Disney's going crazy, like I mentioned. All sorts of random stuff. The DC comic boxes went crazy. The scary part is there's 2 scary parts. There's a scary part, and there's a PSA and not the grading company that I want to mention that I've mentioned on a bunch of other videos. So the scary part to me is on all this other stuff, the DC boxes, the Marvel Series 2, the G.I. Joe boxes, you pick it. Pick your poison on whatever junk wax box you want to talk about. There is not graded card sales backing up those prices. It's pure spec plays. And maybe there'll be good value in just the sealed wax. What is driving a lot of the 90 Marvel stuff, 90 specifically, is the hype around Marvel and the fact that there's graded card sales to back it up. People can go look and see what they're chasing when they're buying up the boxes. That's what's really spiked those prices to the next level. They were going to go up no matter what, regardless, because Marvel was starting to get the hype. But then those graded sales popped off, and then that's what set the wax market into a tailspin. All this other stuff, we'll use G.I. Joe as the latest example. The population count on G.I. Joe and PSA 10s is like 20 cards. I went and looked. Maybe 20. Maybe it was 40. Regardless, it's extremely low. There's no sales backing that stuff up. And the sales that are out there probably aren't even really real. You know what I mean? Because they were bought prior to this market explosion. So, you'll have Scarlet PSA 10 that went for $60. I don't know that that's a real number in today's market. I don't know what that would go for at auction or buy it now or whatever. But it does worry me a little bit that this stuff's going crazy without the underlying sales data of graded cards backing it up. It's just all spec play, which I get. Especially if you bought it for example, I bought this for $30 a box. I feel pretty good about that right now. Am I going to rip it? Maybe. I don't think so. I'll tell you in 5 hours, 2 minutes, and 8 seconds what I'm going to do with that box. You may see it on eBay later. I don't know. The other thing, as a word of warning, is if you're chasing the dragon on the Marvel stuff and you're going to submit it for grading, please, dear Lord, educate yourself on card grading with PSA. It is not, it's not hard, but it is not, you're not just pulling a card out of the binder and it's a PSA 10. There are a lot of things to consider. Corners, edges, surface, any little dink, rick, nick, whitening, rounding, off centering, etc. could easily cost you a 10 to a 9 to lower, depending on the condition of the card. And my fear is a lot of people are going to throw money away at PSA grading cards and get back 6, 7s, 8s and lose money on the deal because they didn't know what they were doing. They just saw that Cosmic Spider-Man PSA 10 sold for $3,000 and they had some laying in a binder, toss it in a penny sleeve and a top loader, send it off to PSA. And next thing you know, they're out a few $100 in PSA submissions and they get a PSA 6 back, 7 back, 8 back. And it's maybe worth what you paid to get it graded, depending on the card. So just be careful out there. Go watch a bunch of YouTube videos. I'm going to do a breakdown from the 90MU box that I ripped later this week, going over what I saw, the gradable cards that I got out of it, et cetera, and kind of breaking all that down. So I hope this was kind of a good breakdown on what's going on in the general trading card market. And I don't know what's next. There's probably markets out there that I don't even realize are going crazy when it comes to trading cards. But the trading card market in general right now is absolutely nuts. And I am waiting. I mentioned this earlier. Now, the comic book market has already been going strong all year. I'm wondering what happens when the people that don't collect comics, mainly talking about sports cards people, turn the eye of Sauron of the sports card market if it makes the leap to the comic book market, graded comic books, specifically CGC 9.8s. If the sports card evil investors go from chasing PSA 10s to CGC 9.8s, I just know a lot of population counts on comic books look astronomically low compared to sports cards. When I first started following the comic book markets, I was astounded by when, the Team CGC guy on YouTube, I watch his stuff all the time, talks about population counts and mentioning something being in the 2000s as being way too many for him to feel comfortable with. And we're over here in the sports card world looking at Luca PSA 10 base prisms going for $2,000 at the time, $1,500, $1,200 now, being population count 15,000 and not really batting an eye. And he's talking about population counts in the 2000s. And some of this stuff, the key issue stuff are less than that, 1,000, 100, 150 in some cases, whatever, under 2,000, under 1,000. If even a fraction of the sports card market takes the leap to Marvel cards, which leads them into comic books, boy, howdy, look out to the comic book market. It's already been extremely hot, but I could easily see the comic book market maybe getting an injection to take it to the next level. That's purely speculation on my part. I don't know, but I could easily see it happening. I could tell you right now, I've dabbled in comics and I have some graded ones, nothing crazy, no keys really, just kind of collected some stuff that I liked covers of from when I was a kid. But I am strongly now having this like Marvel stuff rekindled from my childhood with these cards. I'm beginning to strongly look at, should I pick up some key CGC 9.8s of some stuff? And I can't imagine I'm the only one thinking that. So I'll be curious to see what happens with that market over the next couple weeks, really. I'd like to say a few months, but that's the other thing to take away from this. This stuff moves ridiculously fast. These prices double, triple, quadruple in the matter of 48 to 72 hours, sometimes less, especially on the stuff that there's not a lot of out there. All it takes is one person to come in and be like, G.I. Joe's next. I'm buying everything that's on the market. Boom, gone. Toast. Market's reset. So hope this was helpful. Hope this was useful. Just kind of wanted to chat today about all this shenanigans that's going on out there. You guys have a wonderful day. Like, comment, sub. Go steal some Happy Meals from some 6-year-olds. Make yourself feel better. And if that doesn't work, there's Cinnamon Toast Crunch out there. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.